rise. The Honorable Judgey Therapist, Vernique Esther presiding.
Have a seat. Welcome back. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. After you hear this case, you probably won't be. Mr. and Mrs. Coles, to the front, please.
Like, our first marriage was hell. It was literally like the Leah and Rachel story, bro. Like, in real life. Because I was in love with Rachel, and she was Leah.
Imagine.
Trying to do everything she could to get me to love her, but I loved Rachel. I didn't want nothing to do with her. I just wanted to raise my son.
When did that turn?
The second marriage.
The second time around.
The second marriage.
Okay.
The second time we got married,
had
but
to
the
get
whole
divorced.
the whole first marriage, I was in love with Rachel.
Okay.
I didn't even see her.
So you
Say
go
it
through
again.
the
Clearly, we didn't
divorce.
hear
Yeah.
You go through this season of seeing what else is out there.
Wilding.
Wow.
Went through a season.
So when was
just
the
wilding.
moment where you say, you know what, I need to go back to her?
I had a prodigal son moment, and I hit rock bottom. My mom had passed away, getting ready to lose my business, wanted to take my life. I literally was in a pit, and I was like, man, I'm out here looking for what the Lord has already given me. I'm going to look in the camera and say that. I was out there looking for what the Lord had already given me. Shout out to my pastor, Pastor Aaron Murphy. Throughout the whole journey where I was just out there wilding those 6 years, he wasn't even my pastor then. He was just my friend. When I told him I wanted my family back, he was like, God's going to do it, but you're not going to like how he does it. I didn't know what that meant because I was, like I said, I was still in my flesh. I still wanted it my way. And what he meant by that was God's going to do it, but you're going to have to die to your flesh. You're going to have to die to you, and you're going to have to be reborn again. And that's what he meant. Literally a month later, I'm on the phone. He calls me early in the morning this one morning, and I'm going off, telling him what she ain't doing. And he was like, shut up, let me pray for you. And he literally started praying. And on that call, next thing I know, I'm crying. I'm saying yes to the Lord. And I felt the yoke break.
And what did you do?
And that's when that conversion happened. I called her immediately after I hung up with him. I called her. I said, hey, all I'm asking you for right now is just to be my friend. I don't want nothing else from you. I've rededicated my life to the Lord. I'm going to focus on him. And I said, you ain't got to worry about me trying to sleep with you. I've made a vow to the Lord. I'm not sleeping with another woman until I get married. So whether that's you or somebody else, all of that is off the table. She needed to see some fruit.
He said he wasn't going to do anything, so I would push him. I'd be like, hey, you want to give it up to me? You want to have sex? So
What happened?
he would not give it up. So I'm like, what? Kelly Cole? Right then I knew I had to pray and get an answer from God because I knew that I had been through this and I knew how he was. I'm not going to give up to anybody either. So shout out to me because I had never given up to anybody but him.
I just said, hey, let's just be friends. It went from that to, hey, will you pray with me at night? Hey, will you do this devotion with me? Then it got to, hey, will you go out on a date and this and that? And we start to court and just become friends. And that's how we fell in love.
It's always a Mr. Potato Head looking dude talking about some, oh, you know, I just had to go out there and figure out what I wanted. It be a dude looking like he snuck on Earth that has the most audacity that can ever be found. Imagine telling your wife, mother of your children perhaps, though you married her, she's the Leah in competition to the Rachel you really want. And he looks like that. I'm not saying that you should be able to be abusive and rude and mean when you're fine, but at least be fine. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not usually in the business of calling people ugly because I don't believe in that. But my God, when I find out that couples have been divorced before and they remarried each other, I'm always ready to sip tea. Always. It's always juicy. It's something kind of, I don't know, je ne sais quoi, a little spicy, a little avant-garde about it to me. What you mean you left and then you came back? Now, usually in these cases, what I hear is somebody stood on business, big business. And then, you know, there was a process to reconciling. That's normally how I hear the story, and it's usually older couples. Now, usually couples that divorce and remarry and have this whole, you know, fun little salacious story are usually older. But I'm surprised that at their age, they've gone through this much, right? They look like maybe they're in their mid-40s max. Their story, though, I don't want to sip that tea. I don't want to sip that tea. It's nasty. Okay? Tell me, Mr. Coles, how you focused on God. You said that you went through all this stuff, and I'm going to get there. You went through all this stuff, and, you talked to your pastor. Immediately, the yoke fell off, whatever that means. Be back to that too. And you decided to focus on God, and so you immediately called her, who was not your wife at the time. How you focused on God and worried about being friends with a woman whose heart that you've broken? How you go through deliverance through just a phone call, which I know my Holy Ghost warriors, my Pentecostals, y'all gonna be like, it can happen. God can do something in an instant. Fine. But do we not need to let the deliverance marinate? We don't need to let it sit in the fridge for 24 hours at least. No, we don't gotta do that. The perpetuation of deliverance and what we're often looking for deliverance to do is found in the decisions that we make. Yeah, clock that. You guys are often looking for deliverance to do things that your decisions should be doing. So yes, you have a moment of deliverance where God frees you from maybe the need and the stronghold of a thing, but you still have to decide in the direction of your deliverance. But I'm not here to preach. The decision that he made was, instead of getting on his face before God and consecrating himself after the yoke fell off of him, he went to go call somebody. And you want to know why he called somebody? Because of what he told us. He said that he was in a season after he done chased Rachel, who probably realized he was full of BS anyway, and whatever else that he found along the way. Then his mama died. You know how men get when they grandmama and their mama die. Y'all be seeing them future memes. I'm thinking of you today. It's Grandparents' Day, and it just reminded me of how you was there for me when my grandmother died. Go back to the hell I sent you to when we broke up. Okay? Your mama died. You're feeling lonely. Rachel don't want you no more. More than likely. See, people be thinking the streets is hot. And when they get in there, what they realize is it's lava trying to kill you. So you realize you don't want to be in the streets no more. You want your family back because you're lonely and you're grieved. You talk to a pastor who, by the way, you first called with complaints, and then he redirected you back towards yourself. Shout out to him. And then you decided to chase her in the midst of your brokenness, as it was still being put back together. And then this whole idea of prodigal son moment. Oh, one thing I'm going to do is call out some spiritual bypassing. No, it wasn't a prodigal son moment. You were being a whore. Say it with your chest. I had a season of whoredom, debauchery. I don't want to imply it. Say it. Don't we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony? Testify to what you was really doing in them streets. Prodigal son moment. So anyways, you called her, you got your deliverance, and then after you got your deliverance, then you asked, can we be friends? Let me tell you something right now. Friendship, for me, starts with a capital letter F. There is no consolation prize. I don't believe in that. I tell clients all the time, and even in my own life when I was dating, people would be like, well, I know it's not going to work out between us romantically, but why can't we just be friends? Why can't we be friends? Because you have to earn that spot in my life. Friendship is not a consolation prize. It's not a thing that you give out. Well, it didn't work out. Let's try something else. No. Friendship in my life, and hopefully in yours, is a earned and respected position. It's not a downgrade. It is a designation that is honorable in the life of someone. If I call you a friend, that means something. I'm not just, if I am Mrs. Coles, I'm not just offering you friendship just because you called me one day crying. That has to be vetted too. You want to be my friend? We got to vet that. You want to be my man? That's another process. Oh, I just want to be friends. I'm not thinking about nothing. I don't want anything from you. And the proof of that was she tried to sleep with you, which I'll get to your self-esteem in a moment, ma'am. She tried to sleep with you and you said no. First of all, he probably got off on rejecting her alone. I get it. Some of y'all are watching this and you're like, that's mean, Vernique. Maybe he really did change. Maybe. But did you go through the process to prove your change? Or did you recognize her weakness and her lack of self-esteem and took advantage of that by standing under the umbrella of her assumption of your goodwill because she probably wanted you and wanted her family? but had to turn away from him because of what you really wanted, what your true heart's desire was. I'm not saying she was perfect. I don't know. We didn't hear the side of the story about her. I'm just going based off of what you've testified to today. But this idea that you can just use friendship as a byproduct to relationship, to me is whack. And it shows to me that's why y'all act the way y'all act with your friends. It ain't real to you. It's a little throwaway, little consolation prize, blue ribbon, little, participation trophy. No, you don't get to be my friend. And I understand some of you, if you've been following me long enough, I don't believe in friends first. I get it, but I don't necessarily believe in that. If you step into me as somebody who wants to be a romantic partner, that's what I need you to act like. We may build a friendship as part of the process, but if I'm applying for a job, I'm not going to apply for a low level and hope to get promoted, or think that I'm applying for a low level and hope to get promoted. Say with your chest what you're looking for, and let me evaluate and vet you based off of that. You don't get to worm your way in and move your way up the ladder. Is you is or is you ain't. Mrs. Coles, I want you to stand up with both feet. Legs, knees. Activate those muscles. Stand up. You testing him with sex says a lot more to me about where you were at the time and your vulnerability than it did his resolve and his strength. You literally offered yourself up to be used by a man that you did not trust yet. I know you didn't trust him because that was the point of the test. You didn't trust that he really had changed the way that he said he did. So you were offering yourself up as collateral to see. Stand up. Care a little bit more about yourself. And then his whole thing about and I didn't do it. And you're like, well, I never slept with anybody else either except for him. Y'all gonna cancel me after this and that's fine. Let me tell you something. I'd rather you fornicate with confidence than save yourself with low self-esteem. At the end of the day, there's a level of self-trust. There's a level of you making, decisions that you're in alignment with, that you're willing to take accountability for. I'm sorry, I don't see it as a prize that you waited for a man who wasn't waiting for you. Respectfully. I'm not impressed. But you're not trying to impress me, right? I'm not your audience. God is. And that's important. I'm not here trying to get on the soapbox and endorse fornication, as we know, depending on your spiritual theology and orientation. That's neither here nor there. But my thing is, there's no brownie points. And this goes back to this programming that we have as women, right? I'm sure, he repented for sowing his wild oats, whatever, right? Meanwhile, our points come from being docile and keeping ourselves and just waiting until that man changes his mind and realizes. There's no prize in that. Because at the end of the day, you know what you know every night when you go to sleep? That man chose somebody else over you. Now, it's too late for Mrs. Coles, but if you're watching this, I want to give you some advice. Some big cousin advice. Don't ever let anybody choose you second. I don't care what gender they are. I don't care what gender you are. Never let somebody choose you second, because you will always know that you weren't first. There will never not be a day. You may win in the end, but it gives, at least you know where home is. It will never erase the fact that he didn't choose you the first time. I don't want to be the vegetables in somebody's life. The thing you do because it's good for you. Because, it'll make you big and strong. Not because you like it. Not because you care about it. Not because you're willing to nurture it. Not you're willing to pay premium for it. Just the thing that you do. And this is very common in Christian circles. This idea that, that wasn't the man I wanted. It was the man I needed. That wasn't the woman, that wasn't the woman that I normally would go for, but that is, what God wanted for me. Ew. Or in the words of Ariana, yuck. I don't want that kind of love, and you shouldn't either. Being in Christ shouldn't have to mean that everything in your life is unpleasurable or a second choice. God chose you. He loved you so much that he sent his son to you. Were God's first choice. Don't be that man's second choice. Don't be that woman's second choice. You deserve for somebody to know that they chose you on purpose. Not because they ran out of options. Not because you were just available. But because they saw you and they wanted you. I'm not going to belabor the point. I honestly don't think that there's much for us to do here. And so my verdict for the both of you is jail. Enjoy. See y'all next time.